Yo, what's up, Andrew? What's up, Peter? Thanks for being here. Thank you for the good luck. PJ, thank you so much. Thanks for the good luck. Thank you, board PC guy. What's happening? Hopefully your rounds went well earlier. Thank you, Terry. Thanks, Johnny Doe. Thank you, Robert. What's up, KDB? Yeah, the subtitles are a little off sometimes, but for the most part, it's understandable. What up, Ian? The legend himself. Thank you. Welcome everyone to the stream. Ooh, a boomerang. Thank you, Rhea. Well, shall we get started? Ooh. Do we want to look at the current results or not? What's it gonna take to qualify? Nice, Tony. Well, hopefully I'll at least be able to qualify. Unless something horrible goes wrong. I have not played a single game today, so hopefully things go well. All right, let's go, Dan. Let's see what you got. Oh, it's just... a legendary stream chat going on right now. I feel like I could crop the top of my game a little bit and have a little bigger view. What score am I hoping for? At least a 32. What score will I be okay with? A 28 or so. Alright, 9-1 with a 20%. Gonna be 7.8. We're gonna go max right with 6 top. We're gonna stretch it out here. Come back 5. And then About there, and since I need to push it up just a touch. No overpower. Out to somewhere about here and curl. Hit it great. This is gonna be a bit longer of a thorn shot, I think. That just carried. Well, that's not a good start. What's up, David? I guess the extra wind here just let it sail. Oh well. I just gotta hope I can keep it close to the pin and on the green. Yo, thank you, Damien. Seven, 9. Luckily, it's just a straight headwind. Let's see if we can do something with this. 2-6 is mid. I can go about 2 1/3, 2 1/2. Ooh, baby great. Yeah. That'd have been probably pretty good, but can't win them all. Yo, what's up, Crashhead? Thank you, thank you. What's up, Arnold? Man, I got some legends in here watching me fail hole one. I'm just anticipating the hole 2 disconnect. If Troy were here, he would question my putting technique. You know it, Ian. I play shootouts, so sorry about it. I don't even know how to play this one. What am I saying again? Yeah, Damien, it just makes the tournaments take an hour longer. But I'm just here for a good time, so. Crashhead. That's awesome. Oh, you should have seen the text to speech or the speech to text like the first night. It was picking up some real funky stuff. It definitely makes the stream more entertaining. Also more accessible to those that need it. There are a fair few banners in this chat. Yeah, Katie, even I was crying laughing. I thought it was wonderful. So what's hole 2? Hole 2 is a quarterback. I know it's a quarterback, I'm just not paying any attention. Alright, I have to switch balls. That ball was bad luck. We're gonna use an itchy ball. Yo, what's up, no one? Thank you for being here. Now on. Yeah, one day the subtitles will understand. Max back, 4 right. There's like a spot in here somewhere. Like that, maybe. I'm gonna go 1-to-1. See how that does. If I can get it lined up properly. At least I'm hitting perfect so far on the shots that count. Ooh, that was right too. Maybe 3.65 right spin. Or just offset it like a cup to the left. Close though. Yo, what's up, Sean Castles? Thank you for being here. Thank you for the good luck. Man, this is so much fun when there's just so many people that love the game. Hanging out and chatting, having a good time. I think this hole will drop for me in the weekend, at least once. Yeah, Andrew, I think my landing spot was just slightly off. Yep. That's basically the first time I've played at 1-to-1 and hit a perfect, so I will definitely be offsetting it a bit. Ooh, Arnold, that sounds fun. Yeah, Ian, you were super close on hole 3. I saw that. That was incredible. Ooh, maybe we'll get a good wind. Nope. Basically, I'm gonna play this the same, but with more backspin, I guess. Do I even have more backspin? A little bit. Except I'm gonna play different amount, like 10 rings. Holy crap. Probably needs to be a little more. Great right. Shocker there. Always a great right. And because of the tailwind, it's just gonna keep going. Yo, what's up, Fat Lack? Thank you so much. I've great right this shot every single time, so. Well, thank you, Kalikia, for letting me practice with complete opposite wind. That makes me feel good. All right. Now for the fun hole. I do love a good fun hole. Let me tell ya. Oh, hold on. I need to update something. Need to update my Saturn in my notebook. It was only a level 8. That's how long it's been since I used it. Just in case. Titan to start with and see what kind of wind we have. Oof, that's a beautiful start. Look at that. 2 under after 2. Yeah, David, you'll get used to it. Just keep at it. Here we go. Oh, only 8. Fireworks ball it is. And here we pray. Well, that's a heck of a bounce. Holy crap. Wow. Thank you, Scott. Thanks for being here, buddy. Thank you, PJ. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, that was definitely the good angle. Thanks, Raya. It looked like there was a little more side wind too. So I didn't adjust as far into the water. Well, I'm gonna try to save my friend here. It's gonna be tough. So I'm gonna play this in an interesting way and hope. Let's see where we're at in our club. Basically max. I'm gonna come to the edge of the green. Ooh. Actually, I'm gonna play it with the red ring right there. We're gonna go 7-4 rings with a 30% downhill. If I don't run out of time. And again we pray. Get in, get in! Ah! Oh, that's close. I tried. It's tough to play that wind offset like that. Oh, perfect out of the bunker. Monster shot right there. Yep, more offset. I should have gone with my initial and put the yellow ring by the edge. I had a way different angle last time I was in that position. So I thought that because of the angle I was coming in at, I would have to be closer. I guess I was wrong. Yeah, it's a super weird shot. The angle of the green, like the slope of the green, plus the wind pushing it that direction just kicks it so far to the right. Even that position with like one left spin or half a left spin might have been a pretty good adjustment as well, but I can't be too upset with that drive. Like that was just everything you can hope for. Yo, what's up everybody? So looking up in the top corner of my screen here, I see that there are 27 watching. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that is definitely the most I've ever had watching live at one time, so I appreciate everyone being here. Got ourselves a gold chest for that. Hole 4 is a B52 with a major kingmaker. Make sure, wait. Make sure I have all my right clubs selected. That'd be terrible if I didn't have a B52 equipped. Hey, Stephanie. Thanks so much for being here. What's up, Bob? I did 30% on that short iron. Eight 4 is gonna be 1.5 million rings. So be on the lookout for that. Come up here with the center of the adjustment, just on the edge of the shadow. We're gonna go just right of the cup there, and go a monstrous 12.5. Ish. Someday I will hit perfect on this hole, I promise. Someday I will hit perfect, I promise. Saving it for the weekend, that's right. Man, that's frustrating though. Oh well. That was like the babiest of baby great rights too. I'm not as lucky as Mr. Ballinger, who gets a hole in one with a great right. Should I start playing the offset for the great right? Ooh, close. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Ian. I gotta start accounting for the great right. I'm pretty sure Neo has accounted for a great right on a few of his albatrosses. For some reason, 4 just eludes me. See if we get a good wind here. No, we do not get a good wind here. I do apologize if people don't like shootouts, but I do play shootouts. I've got all the time in the world, and I get to spend it with all you beautiful people. So I might as well. Though I do understand that a lot of you are from across the pond, so don't feel obligated to stay till the end. Plus, I don't really get to play these holes much unless they just happen to be in Tour 11, because I only play Tour 11, so it's fun to play these holes that I never get to play. Ooh, a 9 wind. Woo. It's gonna be like 3,000 rings. So if that's like close and it's a tailwind. Offset it some, go like, what, 12 rings? Just kind of guesstimate here. Hit it great right. Hey Denny, thank you so much. Overcompensated too much for the tailwind. Yep, shootouts are practice, especially when you're not hitting perfects. Gave that one up by 0.4. I haven't been telling my opponents good luck. Maybe that's bad juju. What's next? Hole 5? Definitely want the old APOC sniper E52 combo. Normal Kingmaker this time. The major Kingmaker wasn't good luck. Also, pay no attention to my trophy count right now. I don't want to talk about it. Max left like 2-ish top. 8-4 with a 10% is 6.6 rings. We want it to land somewhere in here. So I'm gonna go 6.6-ish. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push it up all the way. And then we're gonna put some left curl on it and hit it great right. F. Hopefully it lands better. I'm just having horrible luck with these top spins. Unlucky. I don't get to try my adjustment, Rhea. Yeah, I saw that, Ian. It's so strange. I even took top spin off compared to what I have been putting on it. And I usually wind up way short. So I think it's just, you find that sweet spot on the fairway and it sails. Because even in my notes it says to put 2.5 topspin on it, and I put 2 and a smidge. I also pushed it up all the way. Maybe I shouldn't have pushed it up all the way. It changed the landing position. I don't like this. Should I go for it? Nah. I might put a little bit of power on it. I should have gone for it. Well, hopefully I can save this. Yeah, Jeffrey, it's so strange because I've used 2.5 every time before this, and I was well short. And this time I went 2 and just a touch and went long. Also, thank you for being here, Jeffrey. Killer smidges, yep. They're the bane. He's not gonna make this because he's not playing the full left spin shot, so unlucky for him. Plus he hit great with the wind. I don't really like this because there a funnel? Nope. I just hate wedge shots. I'm gonna stick it on the lip. Is that enough? I don't know. Maybe if I hit great left, it's enough. Yeah, that's strange. 1.5? Okay. I will keep that in mind. A 107 players in your bracket. Give me good wind. Ooh, here we go. Let's see how this does. No, I wanted to practice. What a jerk. All right, hole number 6. Wait, what is hole 6? Oh, I'm not gonna play the way Ian plays it. Open this one. Oh, I hadn't started an unlock yet. I need those clubs look fine. Let's hope for a drop at some point tonight. I go first. So here I go max left. Wait. 5.5 top. Come out here to the plus 8 yard. Like this spot right in here that I like to hit. And then we adjust for 8 wind, which is going to be 6.3 rings with a 10% over adjustment. Ooh, right up there at the edge of the max distance. Finally hit it perfect. Land in the little bowl. Roll up here nice and pretty. 342. Ian, on 8, when you don't go for the big bomb, do you go full top spin with your APOC? This is gonna be like 2 back, 3 left. Gonna be something like mid numbers, I believe, with no elevation. It's gonna be 3.9 rings. And there we go. We got one, yay! Thank you, thank you. I like Ian's setup for this, where you go full top and as much left as you can get with the full left, almost full left curl. But the final position is a little less consistent, so. Uh-oh, we got sirens from Tony. Thank you, everybody. I do appreciate it. It feels good to hit my first drop of the night. Hey, I won one outright. Thank you, thank you. Alright, for this next one, sniper with a kingmaker. Dropped this in qualifying, so I'm hoping it works. It would be nice if it was consistent. Of course, varying winds. I dropped it with a 7.2. I've seen people with like a 9, over 9 wind. So it's not the greatest. It's always a pleasure to watch Damien live. An excellent player. Alright. Max left spin. Half of a top spin. Ooh, 8.7. Red ring touching the rough. And normally, I would set up here, but because it's an extra mile an hour and a half, I'm actually gonna move it left a little bit. We're gonna just 11.6 rings. Sheesh. There's about 5, 6. Oh, horrible shot. My bad. Next time. Yeah, that adjustment is money. That's disappointing. Oh well. Gotta hit perfect. Adjustments don't mean anything if you don't hit perfect. I'm like antsy. I'm releasing early. Like I can, Sam. Yeah, sub to every single person you see in the chat. Every person. Give me a headwind. Another tailwind. That looks good, right? 10 rings again. Strange angle though. I'm gonna put a little bit of right curl. Ah! I just want to practice, man. Come on, hack. I'm not gonna complain about a free gold chest though. All right, so hole 8. Hole 8. Hole 8. Hole 8. See what kind of wind we get before we make any decisions. Well, this doesn't tell me anything. So it's probably going to be barely 11. Which if it's 11, I'm not going to go for the bomb. I really need 12. Oh. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna try it. Cause why the heck not, you know? Baby great. Yo, what's up, Tavis? Yeah, not enough topspin. Oh, can you guys can't even see my screen. Sorry. I don't know why it froze. Sorry. I went for the bomb, didn't put enough topspin, landed in the bunker. Surprise, surprise. Well, he drained it. All I have to do is hit perfect. Nah, it's not Android. It's my PC. It's overworked and underpaid. What are the odds of me making this? Slim. Exceptionally slim. Oh my goodness. Get in. Yes, saved it. Yo, Tavis, it's to make my stream more accessible for those that need it. It's gonna spell your name wrong because it's stupid, but it's fun. Thank you. Thank you all. Ooh, we go first with a absolute monster. Oh, he gave up. Okay, so I got that drop, luckily. But I'll take it. Actually, hold on. I'm gonna update my notes a bit. Hole 8. 11. We need to go like basically max topspin with APOC if we want to go for it again. Hole 9. Another of my favorites to go for. Got my pin chest. That's always nice. It's especially nice when you get it in 8 holes, unlike the last few nights I've been streaming. Let's see what wind we get here. Yeah, Sean, for the hearing impaired, for people at work that have the stream muted, for any reason why they wouldn't be able to listen. Why do they have to use these giant wind balls? I want to see what the wind is. Though it's gonna be about 10 wind, I think. I don't know. My brain isn't working, so. Oh yeah, 10-2. So not a bumpy start. I mean, I haven't made any mistakes, but I didn't get as many drops early on, but we're making up for it. It's all right. It's all good. He hit it great. Got extremely unlucky. He aimed way too far to the right. And way too far. But this is a 10-5 wind. Monstrous. Full top, 1 left spin. Sorry, 1.5 left spin. Let me check my notes. 10-5 with 20% isn't enough to really adjust, but it just kind of gets me an idea. Aim somewhere around there. We're gonna put this much curl on it. Yeah, perfect. All right. Well, that's the risk you run when you hit perfect. Maybe we could have dropped to a Titan there and still been in a good position. Oh well. So he goes from a firework ball to a wind 0 power 5 ball. Did a little better. At least he's not out of bounds. I know, Denny, I rarely ever hit perfect on full overpowers, so oh, this is gonna be terrifying. It's like 7 rings at max. That's not good. That's not good at all. Should have gone way more. It's alright, it's still just the front 9. Hey, I did worse in my qualifier on this hole, so. All right. We got this. I should have just gone for over here. Like, why didn't I just do this? This is way safer. You know? Now I hit perfect. No, you didn't, David. There was no such thing. Ugh. Well, should still save birdie. We'll get some actual drops on the back nine, I'm sure. Honestly, as long as I qualify, I'll be happy. Weekend round is what matters the most. Yo, Robito, what's happening, brother? Thank you so much. I don't necessarily care for tiebreakers because I just plan to win the tournament outright, you know? So that's my plan. No, I didn't, David. I missed the dunk and got a par. I mean, I did none of those things. I really hate this shot. But at least I hit perfect. Over 30 viewers. We are at 32 according to, or 31, which is awesome. I thank everybody for being here on a Friday night in the States. You guys are absolutely mad for being here. I'm not complaining. I do enjoy spending time with all of you. Yeah, David, All right, 13 front nine. Much to be desired, but we're healthily above the cut. Oh. Well, what are some other... No, that's full. I have so many balls. We need to find a good luck kingmaker. That's what we need to find. So what is hole one? Let me scroll back to my hole one notes. Epoch 6, 20%, standard digits, like you would expect. Just gotta find that good luck kingmaker. Thank you for the compliment, David. Five and a half topspin? Oh yeah, because 6 put me way over last time. This is less wind now, but I'm still gonna play it safe. Epoxy X. Now you don't want the epoxy club. That's where the ball just sticks to the club face and doesn't go anywhere. Nice shot by our opponent. 8-7 wind is going to be 7.4 rings max right. There's what, 2, 4, 5.5. If I can release my finger without sliding it. What did I say? 7.4. Stretch out. Back to like 5. More like... Is that the right club equipped? Seems strange. I don't think my adjustment was very good here. We'll see where I wind up. Just kidding, I think that was about perfect. 404. You were damn close. Yeah, no one on the front. 6 put me well into the rough. I think it was my landing spot because I hit great. Oh, do we have a dunker? Don't go fullback. We have a wild man. So this one was 404. Get in the hole. Oh. Unlucky. Mute that in case he gets angry and wants to spam. So, I play this different than basically everybody. I go for the backspin shot. This is gonna be slightly, this is gonna be like 1.9. Basically, I line it up about like this. I'm actually gonna go 2. And just like that. Thank you, Mr. Ian Ballinger. Thank you, KDB. Ah, Troy can be here. Thank you, thank you. So the cool thing about that, people have asked me, aren't you afraid of it rolling back down the hill if you miss? Because of the elevation difference, the ball's coming in flatter and it's not gonna bite as much as if you were coming in from a higher elevation or even a flat elevation. So there's not a whole lot of back roll that you're gonna get. I think it's safe-ish, safe enough for me. So that's just what I've been sticking with. Yo, what's up, Bob? Thanks for being here. Thank you, David, for the fiery spuds. All right, we've got this one now. This is my good luck ball right now anyway, since we just got that eagle. Yeah, the back roll is super small there. Later, Fatlack. Good luck. Thanks for the good lucks, and good luck to you as well. All right, back with right. We're gonna go 1-to-1, but we're gonna offset it slightly to the left. And then we're gonna go 7.6. And hope it drops. That looks good. That looks good. I would like to share a special shout out to Ian Ballinger for the setup, as well as Andrew Hagan for making sure that I offset it slightly to the left. So that feels good. Thank you, Albie. Hey, welcome to the stream, Albie. Thank you, Crashhead. Thanks, Pete. Thanks, Katie. Thanks, Damien. Thanks, Tavis. Thanks, no one. Thanks, everybody. I love how it respells crash head to crackhead. Thank you, David. Thanks, Robito. Thank you, Terry, Denny. Oof, that felt good. I am feeling really good about these adjustments. Like, exceptionally good about them. On honestly, a majority of the holes, I'm feeling good about it. Did it, Tavis? Tennis? Tavis? Yeah. Well, it tries its best. Boom. I'm pumped now. Just pumped I didn't get it in the front. I'm feeling good though. APOC. Thorn. Hole 3. Oh, this is the fun hole. And you all know how much I love my fun holes. Rick Salyer. Boom! Whew. Man, I would not be feeling this pumped if I wasn't enjoying it with each and every one of you. So thank you for being here. Hey, thanks for the reminder, David. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind hitting that thumbs up if you're enjoying the content. If you're enjoying the booms and the drops and the luck that we are experiencing tonight. Oh, look at this beautiful wind. See if I can get lucky again with my landing. You gotta be pixel perfect, you know. You just... Alright, so the curl I put on this shot, watch. The right edge of the ball touches the inner left ring right there. Alright, don't listen to me. Disregard what I just said. Yeah. I just did not find the landing spot there. Just did not get lucky. Maybe I should have gone with the fireworks ball anyway. Well, yeah, the wind was lower or higher this time. I usually hope for around the 9.5 wind. Oh, our opponent. All right, we got to bail our opponent out here with a perfect rough. Oh, it's not happening. Oh well. Just gonna... Where even are we? That's like max. I don't like this spot. Bunch of wind. We're gonna go like 8.5. A little bit of curl. Hit it perfect. Was I early on my release? Meh, it happens. What are you gonna do? No, Pete, no. Yeah, I might not have had it. It definitely had a dull landing spot, but why does he keep going for this? If he wants to forfeit this right now, I wouldn't be opposed to the free eagle. Like almost mid. All right, let's see what we can do here. That's like 3/4. I'm gonna set up with the yellow ring on the fringe. We're gonna go like 6.2. Oh, that needle felt slow after that rough iron. Are you kidding me? Oh, come on. Come on. Yes, I know no one. I had different wind on hole 3 versus 12. I want around 9.5 wind. I just did not hit it properly. Yep, full 360. That's a pretty close adjustment though. I like that. Might put just a hair left spin when I get to that position again. Oh, he made it in the rough this time. He made it in the breakfast time. He's got a tough shot here for birdie. All right, what's the next hole? All right. I'm gonna get up and run some laps, calm my nerves for this stupid B52 shot. That birdie, that feels bad. Well, I have a bunch of gold chests now. You know what that means? It means we open the silver. Titan, not Titan. Where's our good luck ball? Good luck ball. Forgot to. B52. 3 backspin. You know the routine. I actually feel pretty confident about that hole 3 if I can get to that position. I feel confident in the albatross. It's just getting to that position is the hard part. All the Marlins. Yo, Tavis, thanks for being here. Have a good night. Good luck with any golf class you have left to play this weekend. I don't have gingerbreads. Ooh, only a 7-4 wind. How wonderful. It's only 11 rings. So right in the edge of that shadow, just a hair to the right there, as you can see. Looks like more of a crosswind this time. There's 5. There's 11. Oh, I hit perfect. Oh, goodness, this was like Ian's shot earlier. What in the world? Huh. Oh well. Hole 4 still eludes me. It's okay. All right, hole 5, we're doing 1.5 top after pushing all the way up. Oh, you know what I bet that one was? I bet that was the push from that more of a side wind. Oh. Because the first bounce was just slightly off of where it would normally be, I bet. Hey, Rick. I took care of that. Man. We go first. I like playing this one like this. It's kind of fun to try to figure out. What do we do here? Like, go like 9 rings. Pretty decent landing spot. Man, this is loads of fun though. Even though I royally screwed up hole 3. I mean, it's opening round. You can't expect everything to drop, right? Now, if everything doesn't drop this weekend, I'll be upset, but we got to get 1, 2, 3 one time, because why not? We have to get 4, 5 one time, 6 both times, 7 once, 8 both times, 9 once, right? That'd be like a 38, 36, I don't know. It'd be a lot. LB a lot. So that we can't use that season ball on hole 4 anymore. Just doesn't cut it. We just have to find that good luck ball for each hole, you know? What is hole 5? This exact setup right here. Normal kingmaker. I have pudding balls. 3 wind. 4 power. Fireworks. 2 and 4. In regards to the gingerbread ball question earlier from KDB. Thanks, Ashley Ford. I do appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Not the most stellar of rounds, but it's quite all right. I should at least qualify. Before wind 1. I don't think I have any power 4 wind 1s. But I could check after this round. Oh, I don't get to go first this time. Alright, we're doing 1.5 top here after pushing forward. Oh, this is a little wind too. I like that. 1.5. And only a 7.3 wind. That's just beautiful. That's only 5.7 rings. Is that where I wanted to land? I think I checked that. And then push up. And then that much curl. Hit perfect this time at least. That's always wonderful. That just sailed. Did you see how far how high that bounced? But a good stopping point. Thank you, Mr. Andrew Hagen, for the 1.5 top spin. So, yeah, this should be a good distance. Hopefully, my music is putting some of you friends from across the pond to sleep. .8 wind. Ooh, close. Close, 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 my friend. All right. Max left. Yo, shut up, dude. I'm trying to focus. Offset it just a hair. And I'm gonna go 10 rings here. 1 to 1 plus 1. No curl or anything. And the grate does not help the case. Ah, that was perfect. You hate to see it, and you hate to say it, but I do believe from the bottom of my heart that a perfect would have in fact been in. And I know that setup works because I've seen it drop with that exact setup. Ah, my heart, it breaks right now. But you know what? That's how it's gonna be sometimes. You can't expect to get the drop if you don't hit perfect. Terrible wind here. Nice little funnel in here. This is like a 10-8 or something. It's gonna wind up short because I'm not center. Oh, great ride again. Who would have thought? Don't you dare. Oh, F off, game. Well, at least I know it's possible. It's only a little frustrating. At least I'm getting this hole dialed in with different wind angles, I suppose. The one drawback of playing shootouts. Getting a hole in one. I muted this guy. I am you, this guy. All right, what's next? Oh, another fun hole that I like. I forget what clubs I have equipped. The perfect ones. Ooh, free chest. Yeah, Rabito. I can't be mad. I can be mad because I finally hit perfect and I still missed on that hole. And I've been closer with greats than that perfect was, so that's just confusing to me. Hey, I qualified. Should I just stop now? All right, hole number 6 again. 10% downhill. We go 5.5 top, maximum left. Aim at the 8-yard mark. It's like a little bowl that I aim for. 8-6 wind. Max left, 3, 4, 5. And a bit there, right there. So we come in, and I don't know if you can see it, but right in here is where I aim. 8 yards. Right there. Going 6.7 rings. Oh, this one's a little bit overpowered. Just a touch, though. Right in the bowl, it kicks it forward and rolls nicely to the 440 or 344 range. 343. Next shot. No elevation. Mid-distance thorn. 3 left, 2 back. I know Rhea likes this adjustment. And as do I. He's going full potato. Pedal to the metal right there. Give it the gas. Get over. Nope. Unlucky. Not enough curl there, friend. Alrighty. 8-6 wind. Hey, that was the exact same as the drive. So here we go. 3 left. 2 back. You look right in here. That ball guy just goes straight into the heart of the hole. Like, it's absolutely beautiful. We're gonna go mid distance, which is 3.7 rings. Pray we hit perfect. And miss it. Interesting. I guess it's not a perfect adjustment after all. That's interesting. This means we have to get 7, 8, and 9. That birdie is disappointing. For shame. Can't get them all though. And honestly, opening round, who cares? I was probably a pixel off, so it just changed the bounce point was all. You know, what are you gonna do about it? Give the wind here. I want to try it. Come on. Nope. Yeah, Rabito. So the subtitles will first spell out what it thinks it hears and then adjust it to context. And I don't know if it learns the context based on other previous conversations. This dude is all over the place with his camera, but it's pretty entertaining to watch it swap from one word to another. I don't even know what I could have possibly said that sounded like Yarabi Toso. That was a pretty good shot attempt by my opponent. All things considered. Monster adjustment here. I know I've said it quite a bit. Like 11 and a bit. Oh, awesome, Bobby. Thank you so much for the thumbs up and the good lucks. I've had some good shots and I've had some not good shots, so. But it's going. It's just the opening round. Just, you know, gotta hit perfect. That's all it comes down to. Hopefully you're having a wonderful success with your Golf Clash ventures this week. All right. Ugh. It's time for some drops. Look at that. Look at those 2 or 9 golds right there. That's just beautiful. Nope. Sorry, I'm not supposed to look. We go first. 30% downhill. 7-8 wind is beautiful. Max left a half top, and I mean a half. We're gonna come up here, put the red ring by the rough. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3 squares left. About right there. And then just 10.4 rings. Actually a pretty decent adjustment. Not too wild. I finally hit perfect. Get in the hole. Oh, nope. Came in right. Just barely. Oof. All right. 7-8 wind. We need to go like 3.2 squares to the left. I need to go back and look and see what my hole-in-one was for wind. I think it was like 7-2. Which makes sense. But that's what these opening rounds are for, is for dialing in. $10-9 or so here. Don't you dare. Oh my god. Okay. Well, we didn't get it when it matters, but we've now gotten it twice in shootouts, so maybe that will bring us good fortune. Oh, he's going for it. I think he pushed it forward some. He did hit perfect. Look, get in. This would be sick. Oh no, not it. Yeah, he pushed it forward. Yo, good night, Sean. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the good luck. Good luck to you as well. So this round is pretty poor. I'll just say it straight up. So with that being said, we're going for the bomb again on hole 8. Because why the heck not? Have the clubs we want. We'll come down here. We'll see what the wind is doing. Man, I've gotten like the drops on basically each hole that I need to get them on. It's just not happening every time I play the hole. I think that hole 7 is dang close. Just have to offset it differently based on how much wind you get. Ooh, this might be a good wind. How's he playing it? Is he playing a slice or? No, he's just going, wait. Oh, interesting. I don't think. Wow. It's an interesting way to play it. $12.3 is what we want. We're going 4 top spin, 1 left spin. We're aiming basically where this little kidney bean is here, on the right edge of that bunker. We're gonna put a haven't got a clue curl to the left. Ooh, great right might not be the best. 4. That was too much topspin. Interesting. Well, we now have a bunker shot with a tailwind instead of a headwind. 11.3 wind. That 4 topspin should have been money. Yeah. 12.3 wind is 4 topspin. 12 wind is 4 1/4. 14 wind is 2. Ish. It also depends on your landing spot, so. Well, it's not quite. A perfect headwind. So it's not much distance. I kind of just want to do that. What are the odds we hit perfect twice from the bunker on this hole? Nice. All right. We'll still get our 28. Thank you, thank you. I'm telling you, me and the Spitfire are having a wonderful relationship. I'm pretty sure I've hit about the last 30 Spitfires perfectly. I know everybody's like, oh, use the Malibu or something. Nope. Spitfire for me. Thank you, Crash Head. Thank you, Terry. Let's see what kind of wind we get. 9.5 is exactly what I want to see. Max top, 1.5 left. Aim about there. Full overpower, about this much curl. Hit it perfect again. Oh well, when I went swimming, that doesn't count though, Pete. Oh goodness, that was close. Okay. Too much curl. Love drops. Juicy gum drops. Well, at least I'll have an easy eagle here. Pete, I only mean perfects when it's going into the hole. That's what I mean. You're not supposed to pay that much attention to my stream. Alright, so all we have to do is knock in this rough iron. That's all we have to do. Easy. This should have been a 28 regardless, but I don't know what happened on 17. That's a pretty good mid adjustment, I think. Though I'm freaking terrified adjusting down into the water. It's only 3.8. Maybe if I come up here, I'm gonna do something like this. Could I go somewhere around there? And I hit it awful great right. Perfect would have been in. All right, so 27 under, not the worst, not as good as I was hoping. I was hoping for at minimum 28. Shooting for about a 32 or better for the weekend, but you're not gonna get them all, so that's quite all right. I don't know what happened on 17 or 15, not 17, 15. Basically dropped every other time. 4 just eludes me. I think I figured out 2. 7, I'm pretty sure I have figured out now. 8 and 9, pretty solid. Even though I'm going for the bombs, like, of course, if I wind up in the sand in the weekend, I'm not gonna hit them. So maybe I should have played it laying up and going for the short chip in. Oh well. Maybe in the weekend I'll get super lucky and just be putting for eagle on both attempts at hole 8. You never know. Ooh, shootout. He has the advantage. Oh, this is tough. Let's do this shot. 10 wind. Like 9.5. No, like 7 rings. Back. Right. Oh, I shouldn't have put the curl. Too much curl. Awesome, awesome. Well, I do appreciate everyone spending your Friday evenings, mornings, afternoons, and nights with me. It's been loads of fun. We hit some good shots. We hit some not good shots. I feel pretty confident going into the weekend round as long as I can hit perfect. So thank you all. I will be live. I don't know yet when I'm playing my weekend round. It's just gonna be kind of dependent on how I feel. Like last night, I just wasn't feeling playing opening, so I didn't. It will not be 4:30 European time on Sunday, I can tell you that much, because I'm going to be spending that time with Ian Ballinger during his round. So we'll see. I will keep you all in the know. I like to put my scheduled stream up at least a few hours before stream, if not a full day. So once I figure out about what time I'll be playing, I'll put a scheduled stream up. Make sure you're subscribed with the clicking the bell so you get notified of all that good stuff. Oh, see, a 29 won this bracket. So considering this scorecard, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm missing out on 5 shots that I hit either on the front or on the 9, or back, on the front 9 or the back 9. So not too worried about the weekend round. My goal is a 32, not only based off of these results, but I just feel like that's definitely possible. 4, I didn't get it either time. I think that's gonna drop at least once. I think there's a good chance for at least 1 albatross, if not 2. So there's loads and loads of potential for this course. And I'm talking like, if somebody shot a 38 under or a 40 under, I would not be surprised. It's tough, of course, but if you get lucky and get the drops, then it's definitely possible. Thank you all for being here. I'm sure I will be seeing you in about 1,000 other streams across the weekend. And I will be playing my weekend round either tomorrow or Sunday afternoon/evening. I'll try to time it better to where more people can watch it. I know the friends from across the big pond are up pretty late right now. I know the Australians are just probably waking up about now, so. Thanks, KDB. Oh, J-Bone's on? Everybody head over to Mr. Jesse Both. We will see you there. Thank you all. Have a blessed night. Day, morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world.